Hello again, and thanks for joining me. Today I'm gonna tell a couple more stories about me and my brother. Um, so yeah, he lived with his mom in Trenton most of the time, but he would visit some weekends and then during the summer. But so when he would come down when we lived with my grandma, we'd have to sleep in the same room, and my uncle who lived with my grandma had a dog named Bear that sadly passed away a while back. But it was just the coolest dog, really cool dog. But so he's staying the night he's staying the weekend. One night we're going to bed, laying there trying to go to sleep, and he decides to scare me like big brothers do. And he told me that when I went to sleep, he was going to cut my brain out and switch it with the dog's. And that I wouldn't be able to tell anybody because I wouldn't be able to talk. I'd only be able to bark. And I got scared, freaked out, and was like, "What?" I started freaking. And then he was like, "No, I'm just playing. I can't. It's brain surgery. I can't do that. But, I mean, I was, I was freaking out there for a minute. Can you imagine having your brain in a dog's body and you can't say anything because all you can do is bark? And, I mean, what's the dog going to do in my body? It's weird I'm telling the story after I just reviewed the movie Freaky, though. I just figured that out. That's weird. But anyway, now I'm going to tell two Christmas stories that are kind of connected. One Christmas, we were still living with my grandma, and all of our presents were wrapped and under the tree. And we decided, we had a Super Nintendo. Now, kids, you might not know what a Super Nintendo is, but it came out the same time as the Sega, which you probably also don't know what that is. But look it up, Google it. Fun to us, really dug the game. But we noticed we had a couple presents that looked like Super Nintendo game shaped boxes. So we decided before school we'd take those boxes in our room and take a knife and just barely cut the tape, flip the end of the present open, that we could see which games we're getting, and just tape it back. So we take the games one at a time. I don't know why we didn't just do them both. So we take mine in the room, look at it, tape it back, put it back, bring his in the room. I can't remember what the games were. I think one of them was Primal Instinct, but I don't know if it was his or mine. So when we cut his open, we look, and then we're like, "Oh crap, it's almost time for the bus." So we take it in the living room to tape it back shut and put it back under the tree. And the only person home was my grandma, and she's in her room. So we're thinking we're going to get away, scot-free. Well, all of a sudden the bus pulls up, and my grandma is walking into the living room and she hears. So that's my brother trying to tape it back shut, but the bus just pulled up. He don't have any time to nonchalantly tape this back up while my grandma's walking in the living room. So he just folds the paper up under the game and slides it under the tree where, it's sitting on the paper and holding it closed. And we're just all day at school. We're like, God, I hope nobody picks that game up. I hope people stay away from the tree. But nobody caught us, but this is how these two Christmases are kind of connected. Nobody caught us, but, parents aren't dumb. They know what kids do. They know somehow we've been peeking. So the next Christmas, I think it's a day or two before we're going to open gifts. My brother's there. And the Nintendo 64 had just come out. That's what I wanted. Lo and behold, under the tree, there's a box that looks just big enough to be a Nintendo 64. And there's two boxes that look just big enough to be Nintendo 64 games. So I'm sure I've got a Nintendo 64 and two games. So my brother's like, let's bring them in here. They're in bed. Bring them in here, cut them open, look just like we did last year. See what they are. So we bring the big box and the two little ones in the bedroom. And start with the big box. Cut the tape, flip the end open, and it's a VCR box. Now kids, a VCR is a player that came out before a DVD player and definitely before a Blu-ray player. Played these big rectangle VHSs. Google it. So I look and I'm like, I already have a VCR. Why did they get me a VCR? This makes no sense. So now I'm like, what could these two littler boxes be that look like they're in the shape of games? If this isn't a Nintendo 64, nothing else under the tree for me is big enough to be a Nintendo 64. What are these? So we cut those open. Both of them are boxes of tissue. And I'm like, what is going on? Why would they give me boxes of tissue? So now we've peaked, and I'm worse off than I was before, because before I just knew I was getting an N64 and two games. Now I'm thinking I'm getting a VCR, which I already have one, and two boxes of tissue, that's not a gift, I'm a kid. Tissue. So like the next day or so, I'm just like, what the? And I can't ask them, why'd you give me a VCR? Because I can't tell them I peaked. So I'm just bummed and confused. So Christmas comes, and we open presents, and I open the big box, and it's the VCR box, but it's not a VCR. I cut it open, it's jogging pants. So I'm like, all right, well, at least I need jogging pants. I didn't need a VCR, but still, what about those tissues? So I open the tissues, and my mom's like, those are, for when you cry, because we couldn't get you a Nintendo 64. I was like, what? Which, I wouldn't have cried. I've never been that person to be like, I wanted this. But I'm still like, okay, that's weird, but alright. I got jogging pants and tissue. So everybody's opening their presents. Well, there was another bigger box under the tree that was marked for my dad's dad, my grandpa Mosley. And they hand it to me and they're like, this is actually yours. We just put, Papa Mosley's name on there so you wouldn't open it and peek. And that was the Nintendo 64. And a couple other boxes that were, two other people were games. And the bad thing is my brother knew it. My brother knew what they'd done. They had told him. So he was kind of in on it with them, having me peek and just really thrown off. So I have to give them to them. They got me good that year, but yeah. So after that, I just never peeked again. It just didn't seem worth it. So there we go. There's 3 more stories of me and my brother. One horror story that he, told me in 2 Christmases. Thanks for joining me for these stories. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. And please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.